Thawn gets all the headlines for the upcoming Ahsoka series, but hidden plain in sight is the possible resolution of a decades-old confusion. Let's see why orange is the new red. The growing Mandoverse is about to get its first non-Mandalorian series, as Anakin's estranged padawan Ahsoka tries to prevent the rise of Thrawn in the power vacuum that was the New Republic. Thrawn will be joined by Morgan Elsbeth, last seen offering a Beskar spear to Din Djarin if he takes care of her Ahsoka problem. He did not. Elsbeth isn't the only sub-baddie on the march to Thrawn though, and those two look to close a loop 32 years in the making. Baylan and Shin round out the quartet of menace with a same but different look that suggests that the Sith don't have a monopoly on the dark side. Before there were the Sith, there was the Dark Jedi, then the Dark Jedi were kind of the Sith, then the Sith became their own thing. It's kind of complicated, so yeah, let's break this down. In the beginning, there was Luke, Luke's teacher Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's fallen student Darth Vader.
Your powers are weak, old man.
Then it turns out that Darth was also Luke's dad, and by the way, that princess that they've been rescuing and being rescued by is also Luke's twin sister. And that seemed complicated enough. Except for one little line in the novelization of A New Hope that referred to Darth Vader as the Dark Lord of the Sith. Like many things in the Star Wars universe, that little reference was dropped in there with no real explanation, just part of a vast galaxy alive with shenanigans. Then Star Wars became a cultural touchstone, and the universe started to expand. That is until 1999 when The Phantom Menace came out that meant mostly comics and books, referred to as the Extended Universe. In 1991, that included the release of Heir to the Empire, which first introduced the character of Thrawn. Thrawn had as part of his entourage of baddies Jorah Sabaoth, since at that time the Sith were still just the thing that Darth Vader was the Dark Lord of. Author Timothy Zahn referred to Sabaoth as a Dark Jedi. Once the Sith became more defined in the wake of The Phantom Menace, it became clearer that Dark Jedi was not interchangeable with the Sith. The Sith had a specific set of rules, primarily the rule of two, a master and an apprentice. The apprentice is fated to destroy the master and take an apprentice themselves. Presumably that attracts a certain type of person who thinks that they are unusurpable. But while Darth Vader started out answering to Grand Moff Tarkin, it was only kinda, and the man pulling the strings was the Sith Lord Palpatine, which is to say, the Sith tend to only be lackeys to other Sith, and Thrawn is no Sith. So what's the deal? Well, most of the deal is that Star Wars is backwards engineered most of the time. A passing term or a character appears on the screen for a moment and a creator gives that thing a backstory. In Return of the Jedi, Luke would be using his blue lightsaber against a blue sky, so his lightsaber became green. Samuel L. Jackson wanted a purple lightsaber, so he got one. Eventually, all those colors got meaning when Lucas started off with the simplicity of good guys use blue, bad guys use red. But not every author checked in with every other one, and sometimes these stories overlapped. Add to the confusion the transition from Lucas to Disney, and the new canon and the EU now referred to as Legends. Thrawn made the transition from legend to canon in the series Rebels, and Zahn's Heir to the Empire will serve as the template for the Ahsoka series. And with that, we get another go at the Dark Jedi in the form of Baylan and Shin. In Legends terms, Dark Jedi is a catch-all term for anyone who is a Force user who doesn't follow the Jedi ways and makes use of the dark side of the Force. In a way, you could think of it as the Sith being a cult within the Dark Jedi. But don't tell the Sith that. In the Legends of Darth Bane trilogy that told the story of whose big idea the rule of two was, Bane's, they also established the difference between the Dark Jedi and a Sith. Dooku would later simplify it as Sith have no fear, well except to their apprentice.
Do it.
Since all of these stories and all of these different forms created different ideas of what's going on, a person was put in charge of sorting it all out. A man named Leland Chee, who has the enviable job of being the sort of archivist. Before Lucasfilm was sold, his job was to assign canon tiers with George Lucas on top. After the acquisition, his job was to make one cohesive canon. On the subject of Dark Jedi on the StarWars.com forums, she said, quote, "A Dark Jedi is anyone who practices the dark side of the Force, whether or not they were a former Jedi," end quote. In Legends, Sith have made heavy use of Dark Jedi thanks to that whole rule of two being a thing. Essentially, Inquisitors would be Dark Jedi in the employ of Darth Vader. Baylan and Shin bear some cues across the divide. They dress like Jedi, but apparently don't call them that because that makes Baylan stabby. Shin has a padawan braid indicating a student status, at least related to the Jedi traditions. But then there's the blood orange lightsabers. Orange lightsabers have popped up now and then. Yoshi sported one in Star Wars 37 in 1998. Even Yaddle sported one at one point. Jedi Master Michael Tonder had one called the Sword of Honor. But Baylan and Shin's lightsabers aren't regular orange. They shift from red to orange, reminiscent of the way the lightsaber special effect worked in A New Hope. In an interview right here with Screen Rant, Dave Filoni said that this was on purpose, to mean that you can make no assumptions about their loyalties. This sets the stage for the Dark Jedi to emerge in the new canon with a new definition.
Could it be any more orange?
The question is, will we ever see the Knights of Ren? They were Kylo's creepy Force gang in the sequels, but they found him, not the other way around. But that might be too far into the period between Jedi and Force Awakens to deal with now.
Thank you.